Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Mirror's Edge Catalyst. So, we're about to try and break out Noah from Kingdom, which seems to at the very least start in this lower area as some kind of either prison, secret prison, or secret arena where they're forcing people to fight or turning them into, I don't know, food or something. We don't know really what Kingdom is. Um, it would logically make a lot of sense that it was people getting their brains jacked into computers and then their brain power being used matrix style to run the grid, since so much of the story has been focused around grid leaks, grid metagrids, just the internet in general, or equivalent of the internet. I think, though, it's important to point out, though, that we are really just spinning our wheels and going in circles with this story. It's like we get established and shown who Faith is. We have a very poorly developed narrative of Faith and her sister and her parents. And then we get Noah as being our replacement father, who sends us off on a couple of runs with Icarus, who is, I guess, maybe a replacement sibling. Um, I don't even know what Noah really had to do with anything. He seemed to have just given us some side missions, much like Birdman and Plastic gave us side missions. And then, about halfway through the story, the safe house of the lair got attacked and Noah gets kidnapped. And now we're just undoing the events of what that had happened in that section of the story. It's not linear progress. What would be linear progress would have been for Noah to actually been killed, for that to have then informed Faith's decision going forward for the rest of the story, and just you would have had to commit to something actually happening instead of it being a very spineless thing. I guess these are just rather flat plants here. See, you look over here, you would, from a distance, almost assume that these were just spray painted on the wall once you get back to that, but if anything, I guess this just goes to show that maybe there is some hint of life beneath this underground area, but clearly they didn't want to waste rendering and visual um, GPU performance to render a bunch of grass, which is probably a good thing. Yep. Oh, and of course, Rebecca is still playing a big role, which it almost would make more sense to combine the character of Rebecca and Noah together, in the sense that the layer would have gotten attacked, Noah would have seen maybe Icarus or um, some other runner he was like very connected to, or even his own child killed. Then Noah would turn violent, and he would be very upset, and he would send you on more of the Black November terrorist group activities. And then Faith would eventually have to talk him out of that. We've convinced Rebecca not to execute Kat, your sister, and she's promised to take your sister to a safe house topside where she'll hopefully be able to breathe more easily. There's a indication certainly that she cannot breathe because she was gassed as a kid. Whatever Kat feels towards you is hard to judge. She remains defiant and you need to talk more, but first you must make your way down to Kingdom and save Noah.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Icarus, I know you care for Noah, but I run better alone. You know that. And I need someone to stay here and look out for my sister. Please.
Again, we have an in-game cutscene where they don't
So
even bother to put
Rebecca
the
is your sister.
character
Yes,
in the center of
she
the
is.
screen.
Please, Icarus. I don't trust Rebecca.
That is a weird panning angle that just happened there.
Bring him back.
I will.
I wonder if it is just
All right.
a case that
Thanks.
at higher
See you in a
resolutions the
bit.
camera is just totally in the wrong place, and if I was playing this at 720p or 1080p, whatever the default.
There's a huge blast door blocking my way here.
Oh, wait.
Hmm.
There.
Wow.
Hmm.
Really ought to go some shit.
Gonna make a reference to Ghost in the Shell there, I suppose. Which this game doesn't really deserve to make that kind of that kind of reference.
The frequency patterns are similar to the new security hubs. They must be connected somehow.
So the security hubs, I guess, since those are new, also
I've
might
been looking
be.
more at the reflection blueprint. Some of the underlying algorithms are older than me. They're beautiful.
Are we gonna find out that reflection is really based on your parents' work, or is it gonna or are we gonna find out your parents are alive and they're working with Kruger this whole time? Like, either one of those could be the case. Again, these pipes are overused. That you use them to do like 3 different things. You run along a wall and twist. Well, there's
Really deep down, Plastic.
That's what I said.
probably no coming back up that way.
He wants to keep whatever's down there out of sight.
Now we are going to lose connection, Plastic said, eventually, so we'll stop hearing her talk to us also. Yeah, it feels like there should be some other, like, brass ring that at instant glance you know you're going to turn 90 degrees. That there's, in any parkour game like this, a real high desire to know what will happen when you do something, and very many occasions have occurred where I just don't know what's going to happen when I try to do something. I may be trapping myself here looking for a collectible that doesn't exist. See, here we have a pipe that, again, I don't think actually would help you any. The other thing that is kind of weird here is we've seen wires like these before and not really been able to slide on them. If we fell in this water, do we die? Nope, it's just a foot small amount of water, and seems like you're pretty much just walking on top of it. I imagine this is some experiment on saying, what if there was more water effects in this game? And the real thing I guess to ask there is, if we slid, does that let you slide more when you're sliding on water? I don't really feel like it does. It's probably just that I've upgraded the slide to have now a kind of oddly exaggerated extended slide. Here we have another shadow. They definitely have mostly given up on the idea of having shadows and reflections to remind you this is Mirror's Edge. That gimmick wasn't much of anything. So every time I saw it happen, it felt kind of ridiculous. We do see big power cables, and this definitely feels like this is inspired by the underground sections in Portal 2.
There. It's huge.
We know they were inspired by Portal 1 at least.
Figure out what those new security hubs are for. They're mirrors for reflection. It's a whole new grid connecting everybody who's ejected.
Yeah, we pretty much figured that. Now, we're seeing a lot of drones, but I would suspect this isn't just some 100% automated facility where there are no humans. Let's run this way. Seems like it's fairly...
Unless I like it.
Me too. I've designed an interference scrambler. The reflection signal won't work at my place.
Just like that?
Of course. I just have to calculate the frequency alternator.
Plastic?
Yeah, I'm
Rebecca is moving Isabel to a safe house above ground. Your sister really can't breathe down here. There's something messed up with her lungs. I'm going with them, but I'm not sure what Rebecca...
Icarus? Icarus, you there? Plastic.
Seems kind of unnecessary to cut her off.
I'm on my own.
Like, at this point, but we also kind of knew that was going to happen. We weren't really relying on Plastic or Icarus for too much. There is Crackdown 3 to consider. Like, this game would have come out before Crackdown 3 came out, but there is a small possibility that everybody who gets injected gets turned into something much closer to a zombie than just someone who is being mentally controlled or mentally used by reflection. How that would happen in this game, or how that would be a good thing, like, there's practically no way that would be a good thing, because then we'd end up doing a lot more fighting. Was I supposed to jump there, or was that literally a cutscene? That felt like that was a cutscene, but apparently not. That was just a gotcha moment. Like, an ultimate example of the Sonic experience. Where you would have had to have just known that to jump. None of these drones seem like they really can see you or detect you. Yeah. Well, it wasn't even Crackdown 3. It was Crackdown 2 that had the zombies that came out during the nighttime. So maybe this game did come out after that was announced as a concept. But even if the reflection actually does get implemented, and then people's own eyeballs become cameras, and Kruger-Sec gets sent after you everywhere anytime anybody sees you, that still would be just like a nightmare scenario. Here we can hear the chirping of something in here, but I can't actually reach it. And it definitely looks like there's people in offices, and this isn't just a empty area. We're getting more non-subtitled conversations. Which, if that meant anything, might be something to it. It's just too late in the game, though, that really introduced that as an idea, though, that maybe we would have to start playing some kind of Metal Gear Solid stealth game where we crouch down here and we move very slowly, watching them, making sure they're turned around so that they don't see you and they don't set off an alarm. You can definitely see that there's just like experiments going on, and that they're doing unethical experiments on prisoners, which is okay. A fine scenario. We can hear people screaming in pain. Have to get a little bit more momentum up there to actually reach this. So it seems like they may very well have just created a whole new texture or architectural design for this one area. But we have consistently had a problem with the rest of the game being kind of boring. Like, and this is definitely very dark.
Subject heart rate nominal. What are you doing? Blood pressure elevated, but acceptable.
Did you get any sleep?
Increased stress levels noted. Probable causes of fear and duress. Applying damage.
All be very confusing for you.
Let me out of here. Oh,
We're listening to two different lines of dialogue in the same place.
get banana fat.
But
Stress levels
nothing I
reduced.
could do. The riders were out of control. I'm sorry.
Quiet, please. Begin orbital cortex scan.
It was too late. The riders, they were relentless. I'm sorry. Your sister's gone. We're all gone. Don't worry. I will take care of you.
Subject sedated. Test to resume upon waking. Good.
So, yeah, we're hearing a guy getting tortured back here with no subtitles. Well, they clearly prompted us to pick up the recording and hear what had happened with Faith's sister. Okay, now we're on the other side of this glass. We were able to capture that bag. There's a lot of wires and ceiling tiles we can just fall through, which that does seem like there will be more bags just through these false ceilings. It's just a really bad placement. It would have made a lot more sense to put the recording here or have the torturing happening on this side, whichever you consider the more important thing to make sure the player hears. It's probably a little bit more important to hear about the torture. Interesting how the audio just changes completely when we enter this area. Alright, well, seems like we may finally get an excuse to be able to attack something. That being said, I needed to have continued down that path to take out the next guy. This is 100% the example that the entire game should have been. It should have been more corridors. Here we have even a new logo for Reflection. It should have been more corridors with one security guard here and there that you would have totally had to swing or jump to attack. The open world game that they've tried to create does not feel right for this style of gameplay and for the skills they've given us. On top of which, this is really the kind of content you would expect more of in a Mirror's Edge game. Just linear narrative. You're going from point A to point B. There's not really a lot of sidetracks. And you're falling to your death, and it seems to almost tease a final chamber every time you fall, where it should be incredibly boring, actually, to when you fall. You shouldn't see anything of interest at all. But yeah, down there is a whole chamber with shipping containers and people that we may end up going. That jump was also fairly hard because you kind of needed to tap the jump button, then immediately double tap and hold the jump button to wall run.
He threatened me. He actually threatened me.
And here we have a different recording.
You are high caste. You have everything you could possibly want right at your fingertips. Why did you have to go and involve yourself with someone like Dogen?
I'm sorry. It's just... I wanted to leave my mark on something.
Well, I talked to my friends on the board today. I don't know what Dogen has on them, but they aren't willing to do anything that might vex him. He is untouchable.
All he understands is threats and violence. We need to teach him a lesson.
I don't think you are able to. Please, don't do anything rash, son.
Dogen, this kid that we're listening to, Christian, I think may be the male character that that works for Black November. We may be getting the backstory to that character. But you very possibly wouldn't know that if you hadn't done a delivery mission for him to make that connection. Can't jump up there. This is a lot of darkness. And I said it fairly early in this game. It does not work as a game if you're in darkness. Like, that's just not the artistic style that you expect from Mirror's Edge. Also getting weird noises. That sounds like maybe an alarm or maybe just pulses. And I guess this is a glass floor. And here we can see elevators grabbing either people or entire chambers, just packing them up in cubes. Which, yeah, it's late to the party to show this off and even make this feel like this is that atrocious. Let's be honest, there have been real world scenarios where people have been squished into much smaller, inhumane areas. There are isolation torture rooms where they're specifically designed where you cannot sit down or stand up and you're just constantly in this torturous stress position that are way smaller. When you look at the height of this person and the width of this is not much bigger, not much different than an average size jail cell. So showing this off visually is kind of interesting to show it all automated, but this is the kind of interesting visuals you'd want to put early in the game, like right when Faith was coming out of jail herself. There is a decent chance that Faith was in this prison and they brainwashed her, and she doesn't remember. But like, the torturing and the experiments is the more important thing to show. There, my runner's vision once again just oddly turns off. I have suspect that the runner's vision turning off is not intentional at all. I have suspect that it might be literally just an engine problem, that the game is so poorly polished that sometimes the runner's vision just crashes, and so then to hide the fact that it as code is actually crashing, they are just putting a notification going runner's vision is offline. Just didn't hit the jump there. Even in the original Mirror's Edge game, you had that problem though. You would potentially do 4 or 5 minutes straight of pretty great parkouring and look really cool, and then you would inevitably just miss a button and fall flat on your face in a ridiculously easy experience. or jump. On top of that, I think it is also worth mentioning that the control scheme from Mirror's Edge 1 did get copied over here, and it's pretty awful. Like, the right bump does not make any sense to me. Or the left bump, I suppose the jump does not make any sense to me. It is very much a PlayStation feel for its controls, where you would focus more on the left bump, right bump, left trigger 2, left trigger 3 stuff. Yes, you do have to put your thumb on the right stick to change the camera and the left stick to control yourself, but I wouldn't be using bumps to jump. I would be using triggers. If anything, I'd probably use the right trigger to jump instead of a move out of the way move that it is. And this guy is just sitting here staring. But you're too far away from him. He just looks like he's looking. He doesn't look like he's crazy or that they've lobotomized him or anything like that. It would have been smarter to have this character banging on the glass and just tearing out his hair. Again, you look inside these prison cubes and they don't feel that small. Like, they really don't feel that inhumane. The reasons these people are in prison may be wrong, almost certainly, but the treatment they seem to be receiving seems to be not that weird. Is this your mother? Or you?
Faith Connors, I'll be damned.
I've seen you before.
My name is Aline Mera. I was lead scientist on Reflection. But I started asking too many questions, and when you stole the blueprint, Gruber made me a scapegoat.
I don't get it. Reflection is just a new way to connect to the grid. Why is it so damn important to
Because
everyone?
once you've been injected, the conglomerate won't just track everything you do. They'll influence your emotions as well. It'll be the end of free thought as we know it. Kruger spent almost 2 decades on this. Ever since you acquired your mother's neural interface algorithms. You have to get me out of here. There's an emergency release over there.
Wait, what was that about my mother?
Erica? Oh, we were colleagues long ago. It was her research that made Reflection possible. Why are you here?
I'm looking for a runner. His name is Noah.
Yeah, they took him about an hour ago. To interrogation, I think. Look, me and some others have a breakout plan in the works. Will you please help us?
Of course. The emergency release, right?
It's really weird to just have a character that we don't even really have any connection to. Yeah, I guess we're going this way. It's not even pointing me in the right direction. Like, do just a big exposition dump there. And while this gives us a good diversion, I suppose. Alright. Let's go ahead and hold the disrupt, and I forgot we even had the disrupt ability. Yeah. Are we supposed to be taking out all of these guys, or are we supposed to be doing something more like this, where we're just straight up running? Wow, I got shot as I was sliding, and that is not helping. Yeah, my slide attack is just not working. Notice that there's broken glass here, Also,
You there.
yeah. So they've just got it set in such a way that you're not going to actively even be able to run through this. It feels like you're going to be forced to have to fight. We have just like an incredibly dark area over here, but there might be a collectible, and you can't look at this morgue and see all the dead bodies and take your time. Also, doesn't really feel like there's a lot of collectibles. Alright. Let's see if we can get behind these guys.
We got her now.
Yeah. Where are we gonna end up here? Like... Let's just run out of the area. Where am I supposed to go now? And we can hear Kruger talking. Is this really Kruger talking, or is this something else? The recording.
Where is she? Answer me!
I understand your frustration. I really do. Faith does that to people. That's why I love her.
Where is the blueprint?
Why you can go screw yourself.
He's not responding to the stimuli.
Yes, on a base level, he is aware that the emotions are false. If he had been a regular employee...
Then he is of no further use to us. Activate the termination protocol.
So no surprises here on Kruger.
Scuttling the facility. Do it!
He's just apparently gonna blow up the whole place. You just gonna let him run away and set off an alarm? I guess maybe that is the right move if you want to save Noah.
I'll get you out of here.
Yeah, he's just gonna be straight. He's gonna be dead.
No.
There's no way he would have been able to run.
I'm here. I came for you.
And he's hard to even recognize in a different outfit without the tattoos or anything being shown. Is she gonna do some kind of crazy restart his brain? So you just lost. Any effort you've put into the game up to this point just leads to failure. It's almost as if they didn't want to keep the voice actor around, or the character around. Not that he was
He's dead.
that important.
Kruger did this. And he'll be able to do it to anyone injected with reflection, including me, unless he stopped. We're leaving for the Black November base. Come with us. Come on. Go. No, you come with.
I'll keep them busy.
This is an interesting idea, certainly with the all walls being electronic glass, so you only get privacy if the conglomerate wants you to have privacy. Otherwise, you can just get shot through glass. As an idea, though, that's not really where I think you want to go. Or it's not particularly even something that they focused enough on. And this just feels like it's having us run where I don't know where I'm supposed to be running. I guess here. Oh, of course, interacting still doesn't stop you from getting shot, apparently, so you may just have to run in circles on the elevator. If this was... If that was going to be the way in which just all glass is potentially dangerous, we would have had to have seen a lot more windows like that. Otherwise, you just kind of have a gimmick that is interesting on a small level.
Caustic? I'm on my way back up.
Okay, I'm just going to run in circles.
Okay. Great. What about Noah?
He didn't.
So we'll just run around in circles here until we know we're safe.
Toward the tunnels above Kingdom Faith. Just so you know.
These two gameplay mechanics actively hurt each other. Like, there's no way to get around that at all. You are constantly... You're constantly running into slowdowns from your parkouring if you decide to fight people. It's really hard to talk and play the game at the same time right now. But then you're also constantly running into the game not really giving you much if you do choose to fight the people. Like, really, the fighting mechanic just needed to leave. If they were going to make changes, and they were going to make a worse game anyways, it would have made a lot of sense to just fully admit that the fighting mechanic needed to be removed completely, and it should be 100% run all the time. Just make Faith a pacifist as a character. She isn't even really written like one in this story. If anything, she's just kind of a character that has been hanging out on the sidelines as far as a character. And now that Noah's dead, she has yet another excuse to actually be heavily involved in the fight and want to kill Kruger? Yeah, Kruger is his name. I haven't even thought about him enough for him to register his name. In the original game, you much earlier have someone who is politically important killed that leads to a mystery and keeps Faith involved in the experience. But then it doesn't become particularly personal until the sister gets kidnapped in the first game later. Which it writes Faith in the original game as being more of a nice person, whereas the Faith in this story comes off as aloof and uncaring a little bit more. Like, if she sees all the dystopia that has been happening around Glass City for 2 decades plus, if she knows that her parents were killed in the riots, she should react to that better, or already have that revolutionary mentality more. She shouldn't have to feel personal loss. Now, in all fairness, that is often the case for a lot of people in the real world. Even is that if it's just that not in my backyard mentality, where as long as it's not directly affecting people, often it's a lot easier to turn a blind eye to the injustices to society, or just become completely overwhelmed by the injustices of a society. Oops, there we had another bit of a hitch. What's funny is this just still really puts me in a weird position where I don't know if these hitches are this game specifically, or if it is some indication of just a new symptom of my computer having problems with it. What I haven't seen is like major multi-seconds of hitching. We just entered kind of a new area where new textures would be loading, so that would be a fairly reasonable place for a average game hitch to happen. But yeah, I just don't know. And well, I have all the electronic parts in this area that did absolutely nothing. Didn't even give us any fanfare at all. Yeah, I may constantly be trapped in this situation where I just have to keep on making more footage and hoping that my computer's working. And I guess at a certain level that was always the case, even before my computer broke the first time. Was that I was hoping for it to not to continue to work. I question what we are doing with the main story going forward. It's probably Kruger's move, and it will be interesting, I suppose, to see if this side mission or this grid node all of a sudden is locked out.
Hi, Faith.
These people seem to be getting slightly more friendly with you as far as Black November. And I expect what we'll have is just yet more exposition dump happen now. Yeah. And we will see, can we climb on this? Grab this? You can grab it, because we saw people doing pull-ups on this, but I can't really pull up on it. Alright.
Sucks.
The kingdom come.
I heard. Damn it.
It almost feels like the only reason why they introduced Icarus is to be the replacement to Noah.
Topside when all hell broke loose.
Maybe Icarus is the same name of the character in the original game.
Something and just let me go. Your new friend seems to think it's reflection.
Sounds like it.
Come on.
It's not fully active yet.
How easy is it going to be to potentially just remotely inject people with a dart gun,
those goddamn beacons here?
or put it in all the food?
From writing us?
I am telling you, the signal can't reach
We're
this
not
deep.
seeing.
Well, it certainly reached her sister as soon as we got topside. Krugersec were on us within minutes. And I lost good people.
You're not the only one.
You were never gonna give me those blueprints, were you?
Is that what she
Well,
wanted?
I have other ways to hurt the families. Mark my words. Their lofty towers will not protect them.
Faith, until reflection is destroyed, we're prisoners here. I may have a way, but I need that blueprint.
Go to my friend Plastic. She has it and you'll be safe there. Icarus can show you the way. Use the tunnels.
What about you?
What tunnels?
Get going. Come on, Doctor.
Like,
Doing okay?
the game in the background you saw there the launch of Reflection. Interesting, she has the little red shoes. They've been hinting at this person you shot.
Faith? Hey, come on. I'll take you out of here.
Like, who was the person that she shot? Is that supposed to be somebody important? Did you end up shooting your own father, who was in disguise as a Kruger sec? Like, why even have a dream sequence like that? What does that do for you?
Don't you think? We have much to discuss. And please accept my condolences regarding Noah. He was a worthy man.
Alright. So it sounds like your sister escaped. And we've now unlocked more things. And now the story wants us to run this way. I'm going to opt instead to fast travel to the grid node to do that. We need to figure out what it's like in the overworld now. It's apparently incredibly dark in this safe room. Alright. So, the Grey Lands in no time. Wow, looks like that's quite the journey to get there. Like, I don't really know where I am. It does sound and feel like there's Kruger sec already in the general area where I could maybe do an intervention attack. We could get back certainly to the idea of destroying cameras. Right. This was an area that was kind of a major hassle. Just big empty rooms. Yeah. Okay. Was the idea to potentially run up here and get enough height to be able to hit that? And then glide up. I don't know. Yeah, it seems like you have to do the whole thing. Maybe you can cheat it a little bit. But that's not the place you need to jump. Okay. Is there a possibility of getting this without falling back down? I guess that's the question. Yes, there is. Nice. I hope this is the right way. So sometimes you do climb on these types of windows, but only rarely. So we're approaching the rich part of the neighborhood again. You almost land on that sofa, which I suppose that works as an idea. You have to assume that the conglomerate here is either completely under the thumb of Kruger and terrified of him, or are complete and total idiots. Come on, let me kick some of these guys over. They don't want to fall off the edge, apparently. Alright. Apparently I need to now take on some more Kruger sec for no good reason. Now, I don't believe that by blowing that up, we are, where am I supposed to be going? This way? Like, I don't think that there's more of those type of reflection towers in the game. So there just happened to be one in the way, and storyline wise that wasn't there before, almost certainly. So now this is just all going to be around running out and staying out of sight. And I took too long. Alright, so apparently I should just be able to stand here and wait for it to finish until the cooldown happens. That gave me 180 XP, although it really gave me 250. 180 I guess for being chased, and 250 for the actual security hub. By the time I got around to actually shutting down all of these security cameras, though, there would be nothing to do in the area. It's gameplay mechanics without actual game and challenges. Let's see.
This is Control. We have a faulty camera in your area. Please investigate.
We want to just get out of an area. And I was probably too far away from that camera. It'll be a while until I have enough disruptor charges to take out any other cameras. Okay. Let's start this mission quickly and see if we can do it in the next 5 minutes. Support the grid node CCU and connect it to the beat link in order to expand your coverage of the city. Hacking the grid node opens up fast travel. Yep. This should be the hardest of them. So I wouldn't be surprised if there were actually 2 beat links. Are we supposed to be going up here? Nope. They're starting you off telling you this is going to be a timed thing, and you're only going to have so much time. So you're going to have to fairly quickly figure out where you're going. This is a nice little flyover with the camera. There should have been more of these. Actually, there should be a lot more of these in a lot of games. It often kind of turns into a pretty bad experience. Where you just often just don't have a clue what the game is asking you to do, or you have no idea where you're supposed to be going because the game never showed you. Like here's a great example of that. Am I supposed to be going this way and wall running? Or was there another path? I think I'm supposed to be doing this, and then this, and then this to get to that before that timer ran out. Right. And here we're going to wall run and then jump and then very quickly wall run and jump again. Which that's not that hard. Then they've put just a security laser in a fairly kind of ridiculous spot. Like, you could back into it, I suppose, if you're not careful, but in almost every scenario I think you wouldn't back into it. Oh, that sucks. Oh, that's gonna put me back quite a bit. I don't feel like it's really the goal of this game to make me do the same section multiple times, nor do I feel like the game is good if it ends up making me do the same section of the game multiple times. Alright, well, this may make this impossible then. If I have to jump back that way to pull, like if I was to do this and then try and do a 180 and jump, I probably can't do that. Nope, just fall to your death. I bet the game has set it up in such a way that it always will checkpoint you somewhere safe, but maybe not. I don't even know where I am. May very well have opted to let me jump forward. Nope. Ooh, this could be awful. We are here. From here to there, I don't think you make that jump. which may mean you have to go back down even lower. Apparently there was a Mirror's Edge comic book that mentioned in the loading screen. Can we go lower? Yeah, I guess we can go lower. How much did that really set me back, though? I don't think that set me back too bad. See, this one has the height advantage. Right. So this should be our checkpoint. And then this should be the checkpoint. Then this should be the checkpoint. Then this should have been the jump I succeeded at. Then crawl through the broken vent for this should be a hard checkpoint to say, yeah, you won't fall any further. Now. Am I supposed to do something like that? I guess that was the trick. Do a wall run to get enough height to get around. And then what? Are we doing a wall run to jump up that way? Take note how much the game has made special effort here to put spots so that you know where you're supposed to go. Well, I mean, you can run up this wall and run up this wall, and then I guess maybe on the slide down you can grab a ledge. That is definitely a movement action, though, that you would just never do in any other sequence. And these lasers are just getting crazy. I don't think they want you to intentionally touch one, however. I have no idea how you run on a wall and then curve and run on another wall. Nor do I feel like you have enough of a height to just make the jump. You could run and jump this way, I suppose. But also you definitely would have had to have had the skill to do that. Absolutely 100%. There is a scenario here where you would have not gotten the double wall run skill. You just wouldn't have gotten the points. And that certainly explains why they hand points out like candy in this game, is because you can't play the game without the points. But it's not like they figured out the algorithm and that this is the right level of balance or experience to have. Ooh, I may be in trouble here. Yeah. At some point I was supposed to have landed on this, hold it, and then come back. I still think I may be in the right place, because this may be what you're supposed to do. Alright. I guess the question is, how do we get back around? I think we're going to have to run around the entire wall. Well, I didn't hit the security cameras. I'm a little shocked I didn't hit the security cameras. I am shocked that worked. Like, I mishit the right bump and did 180s 2 or 3 times in that, and yet somehow I awkwardly managed to still to get to where I needed to go. I'm glad this is the last grid link because you would fairly quickly start exhausting my level of skill. This is interesting. It feels like there's some indication that they wanted you to wall run between these two and wall climb, but it's not really the case. Again, this feels way more influenced by Portal 2 than it feels like a natural progression to the ideas of Mirror's Edge. And heck, if they wanted to go the full route and try and have an AI run everything, they would have had to have gotten extremely lucky with their casting and their writing in the same way that GLaDOS in the Portal series was pretty lucky turn of events. So if I fall, do I fall to my death? If I jump, yes. Do I think I make this jump if I run and jump? Because that's pretty far away. Or should I wall run and jump? Or should I try to do a wall climb and a 180 jump? I think the best combination is probably wall run and jump. But then don't hit swing to jump off of it. Instead, walk on the pipe and yeah, it seems like just wall running will have me grab the pipe without pressing the tab button. Okay, I think that's what they wanted us to do, is that, and then swing and it's questionable. Is this a jump or is this a pipe? It's a pipe. Again, be careful. Are we jumping to that? We are right under it. So if you could just disrupt things through the glass, you'd be done. But I'm gonna leave this on the idea of jumping down that way. Come on. Okay. So we're gonna pull this out, and then I think it's a wall run 180 to get here. Kind of sounds like there might even be a collectible in this place, and if that would really suck if they established that there actually was a collectible in this one, because then that opens up the door towards there being collectibles in some of the other grid node sections. I did not press the jump button there. It just jumped because I started swinging. That doesn't feel fair. Yeah. I think that's probably an indicator of how buggy this game feels sometimes. Alright. Try this again. No, that won't work. And it really feels like there should be a checkpoint past the first spot. I shouldn't be getting thrown back this far. We gotta think of something different. Jump, roll, and run and jump. Let's just stand here for a second and see if maybe this... Pulling that... It kind of feels like you need to grab the ledge and... But if you grab the ledge up here and pull yourself up. Alright, well... We're right where we need to be. Okay. So it wasn't a wall run, it was just a jump, and it definitely feels like another scenario where they tested it only for the solution they thought of and didn't program it to work in any other possible way. We have some glowing wires, which we haven't seen glowing wires used as climbing positions, I think, ever, or if we did see them. Please, please don't checkpoint me back to where... Where are we? It checkpointed me in a terrible place. And why are we hearing security people? Like... Run here. Make a jump. Like, if security people were ever going to show up in these grid node sections, they definitely shouldn't show up until after the fact. Alright, let's look around. Nope, it just glitched out when I tried to jump and killed me. Alright. Are these Sentinel people? There's kind of all over the place. So you run. Where are we going? We can get rid of the gun guy to start with. And it's like we've got one Sentinel guy. Where are we supposed to be going though? Like, I don't even know where I am. Have I now found a nice little place where this guy can just fight me tit for tat? And so I can just kill him that way? There we go. Yeah, where was I supposed to run? Apparently down this way. This is a very odd looking way to design a building, certainly. Too. Very architectural. Very silly. Yeah, almost certainly the rest of the conglomerate is going to get controlled by Kruger or killed by Kruger. And that would be weird if it did turn out for 20 years Kruger has secretly been working to get rid of the conglomerate, and so he's made Reflection as a way of just killing off the conglomerate members, which would just be the high caste. It still probably wouldn't change too much. If you kill all the rich people, you still have to kind of be the bad guy, be the dictator that keeps the government running. Like, and a bunch of dead conglomerate rich people, while an interesting idea, certainly is only going to leave an opportunity for new rich people to take over, like Dugan. I don't feel like there's a lot of reason for falling action or to even have a sequence like this. This might as well just be a cutscene or a scene of showing her walk out of a Kruger Sec security door. So doing that though gives us one more upgrade, but we kind of know you do 1 and 2 more quests, you'll get the last couple of combat upgrades, and then this doesn't unlock until you have the game fully completed. My next goal would be to do this side mission since we are already over in this direction. So we'll do that in the next recording. That's all the grid nodes. So all the fast travel is now unlocked. As our player profile points out, now we are 85% done with the story, although maybe we're closer towards the end of the story than it seems. Because it might very well be a case that you only get to 100% of the story if you get all the collectibles inside of the story sections, which that would skew the results quite a bit. I'd like to see a total play time of this game, because it does feel like I'm closer to 20 to 30 hours in this game, whereas honestly the original Mirror's Edge game may have been a 10-hour experience. And I kind of miss that idea of having 10-hour experience games where you can come back to them 2, 3, 4 years later and play them a second time and not feel overwhelmed. Whereas Mirror's Edge Catalyst, if I were to play this even to this level of completion where I've gotten 38% of the collectibles, I probably am not going to come back 5 years from now or 10 years from now and try and play the game to 100% collectible completion ever again. If I was even going to play the game at all, it would definitely be much more closer towards the equivalent of any percentage of completion speed run, just going through as much of the story as possible. Oh, I guess that's not called any percentage though. I guess that would be story percentage as far as a speed run, because any percentage would also let you use glitches to skip to the end, and I wouldn't want to do that. Yeah, we've gotten all 4 of the grid nodes, 7 of the 8 security hubs, which potentially the last security hub may be in storyline section that we can't skip. The opportunity missions have not been very easy to come by or to accept. The billboard hacks haven't been very easy. As far as grid leaks, we still have a massive amount, and surveillance recordings a massive amount, documents a massive amount. Secret bags is by far at the lowest metric, but not a lot motivating you to do any of this, because it only is going to give you the ridiculous it's just going to give you the ridiculous customizations, different echoes. Totally not worth it. As far as overall in-mission collectibles, we aren't likely to bump up those numbers by much in actual runs, where we've done a couple of them and that's about it. Intel, probably because we haven't done enough of the side missions, is fairly lackluster, but also I wouldn't really, I'm not like really trying to read any of this stuff. All this dialogue should have been eliminated. And you definitely see this as a problem with a lot of games, particularly of this time, where there was just this demand to have so many collectibles that they started putting dialogue into the collectibles when it really should have been spoken out loud. Nowadays it does feel like it is that they're a little bit smarter about saying, no, let's just have a character actually tell the backstory and actually have a story experience. I doubt very many people on their first playthrough wanted to play Mirror's Edge Catalyst and be as lost as to what the backstory and the world building is for this game as I am. Yep. So, yeah. It's really not giving me much meat on the bone and making me read instead of just having it voice acted is not something I really want to do. There's a big difference, certainly from the books in Skyrim, where you're playing a game that you know is going to take 200 hours, and doing a little bit of reading in an RPG makes sense, versus just collecting some bit of intel and then having to pause a high action flowing motion game like Mirror's Edge to read. Like it compounds the error of having to break your flow as you're doing the parkour when you fight the Krugersek people. Whereas the first Mirror's Edge game had way less of that. Honestly, the best thing they could have done is not make Mirror's Edge Catalyst, or make Mirror's Edge Catalyst just an open world, the environment with no story and no collectibles and no missions, and said this is just an open world for players versus players to make their own races and their own collectibles. That is kind of what the online game Uru tried to do, is to have a Myst-like game in the Myst universe that where the players themselves would make their own grid leaks. It's almost a one-to-one comparison to that, except for the fact that Uru has failed 2 or 3 times in a row before it finally got released in some fandom form that is somewhat still going around. But yeah, if they had just remastered and released the original game for a story event and then added DLC of an open world event, there could have been players that would have played online and not have to deal with the story. It also would have given them a lot more time and funding, certainly, to make the open world a lot bigger and better if they didn't have to emphasize a story. But yeah, I am definitely at the danger of going too long already and repeating myself too often, so that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.